Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to do another collaboration beer, and this one it should be quite interesting. It's half Dutch, half Swedish, so on the Swedish side of things we are once again going to return to St Eriks Bryggeri from Arlandastad to the north of Stockholm, and on the Dutch side we are going to visit Brouwerij De Molen. And I think this is my third encounter with these guys, but I've never actually filmed a dedicated review for them, but I do know they produce some awesome stuff, so I really need to sort that. But this is their collaboration beer from March 2016. I'm filming it for you 2 days after it was released actually, and this one is the Citra Saison. It comes in at 5.1%, single hopped Saison beer with Pilsner and wheat malts in the malt base. 5.1% should be a very, very nice beer. Both breweries here produce some awesome stuff, so you can only imagine what the collaboration should be like. It should be a very nice beer. But anyway, as is usual with my beer reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about both breweries involved here. If you do want to get straight to the tasting, as always, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the link to both breweries' websites, the link to my other reviews involving both breweries. There's all the usual social media, and if you do want to see more beer reviews, just subscribe to the channel. To those of you watching in the Netherlands and in Sweden, I do apologise in advance for any bad pronunciations. I hope you enjoyed the review nonetheless, but please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers from your respective countries that you would like to see me review. So anyway, let's talk about Brouwerij De Molen. So Brouwerij De Molen is a small craft brewery, distillery and restaurant located in Bodegraven in the Netherlands, and De Molen translates into English as the mill, and the brewery is actually located in a historic windmill called De Artdweef, built in 1657. So you may guess why their symbol is the really pretty little windmill. But De Molen was founded in 2004 by Menno Olivier, who started out as a home brewer before he turned professional and went on to found his own company. And these guys really are one of the most critically acclaimed Dutch craft breweries these days. There's some great beer in the Netherlands. I've reviewed quite a few of them for you previously, but unfortunately I always feel that Dutch beer and French beer as well actually is kind of overshadowed by the big giants of Belgium and Germany actually when it comes to beer. There's some great stuff there, but you just don't hear about it because of how well known Belgian and German beer is. But if you go there and try some of the local stuff, you certainly won't be disappointed. So hopefully I can return to the Netherlands and review some more craft beers there for you. The stuff that I tried was really wonderful, so I really need to get back and review some more Dutch beers for you. So stay tuned on the channel for that one. But to St Eriks Bryggeri now. So St Eriks Bryggeri is named after an old Stockholm brewery of the same name, which was founded in 1859, and it stayed in production until the 1960s when it fell victim, like many Swedish breweries did, to monopolisation. The old brewery in Stockholm was located in Kungholmstorg, but it was widely regarded as the kind of grandest brewery of Stockholm. But in 2001, Galatea, one of the largest Swedish food companies actually, acquired the rights to the St Eriks brand, and they spent 9 years preparing the ground to relaunch it. The head brewer is Jessica Heydrich, very nice woman who's talked to me quite a lot when I've sent her my videos. She's a former microbiologist, and I think she has a particular knack for German beers. But St Eriks Bryggeri operates as an independent company within the Galatea parent company, and in 2011 they actually invested in increasing the capacity at Sigtuna Brygghus in Arlandastad, very close to the airport actually, and this is where the majority of the St Eriks Bryggeri beers are brewed. They produce some really awesome stuff. Like I said, my particular opinion of St Eriks Bryggeri is that Jessica is very good at brewing German beers, but that said, I've tried a Belgian beer from her now and a couple of other things, and she does seem to produce some really nice and quite well balanced beers, so you should give some of these things a go as well. And because it's a bigger company they're part of, they do seem to get further afield, so those of you watching in Australia and America and things like that will be able to try some of these beers, I'm sure. So I would recommend you do if you get the chance. But both breweries have a good range, so do go and check out Brouwerij De Molen from Bodegraven in the Netherlands and St Eriks Bryggeri in Arlanda in Sweden. Both very good, but I do need to get back and do some more dedicated reviews for Brouwerij De Molen. But anyway, that's enough about the breweries. Let's actually get on to tasting the beer. So as I mentioned to you at the start, this one is a 5.1% Saison. It's single hopped, just the Citra hop in this one, but that's a very good hop as we all know, and it's got wheat and Pilsner malts in the malt base. So let's have a look at this guy and we'll get on with the tasting here. I'll just bring up the camera and let you have a little look at the artwork on this one. As you can see from the bottle shape, it's got one of these kind of Italian craft beer style bottles actually. St Eriks Bryggeri seem to like this. You can see there's the St Eriks bottle cap on this one. You can see some hop flowers there, a nice hand on the side. I'm not sure what the hand is meant to be, but I don't know how well you can see. You can see the Brouwerij De Molen windmill on there, and you can see the St Eriks star on this side. You can see on the back there, maybe you can see the windmill a little bit better there. It tells you on the back, 330 mils, 5.1% Starcool. Barley and wheat malt in this one actually. That wasn't what I read on the website. It said Pilsner and wheat malt on the website actually. So yeah, 1.7 UK units apparently. So yeah, should be a nice beer. Best before the 24th of 11/2016. So yeah, it should be very good. Let's get this guy open and we'll get on with the tasting then. Always get good beers from these breweries. So yeah, as you can see, a nice, quite smoky opening on this one. So we'll get it out and into the glass. Oh, it's quite bubbly this one. I'll just need to watch on the pour that it doesn't go too crazy. You want a little bit ahead, but not too much, because when you're doing beer reviews, it can be a bit of a pain when you want to sugar it up and get all the different notes out of it, because you do get different notes when you sugar it up. There's a bit of sediment just on the bottom there. I maybe should have sugared it up in the bottle a bit more, but I'm sure it won't matter too much. So yeah, as you can see, the beer has poured a really bright yellowy colour. It really reminds me actually of the Helles. That's my favourite beer I've had from St Eriks Bryggeri so far. The Oktoberfest Helles was a beautiful beer actually, but it really reminds me of that one. It looks very much like it actually, but you can see a bright opaque yellow colour. There's a little bit of sediment in the bottom there. You can just see the kind of opaque character of it, but it's very bright yellow colour. I don't think there's any other way to describe that. I can see on the camera just how bright that's coming up, but there's a solid finger of a frothy white head, one or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, but quite a lot of carbonation visible in this one actually. But yeah, it looks very attractive. As you can see, it is definitely opaque. You can't see through that at all if I put my fingers behind it. But yeah, very attractive looking beer. So let's have a look at the aroma and see how we get on. Yeah. Right. So as you would expect with the Citra hop, there's a good bit of fruity character to this one. You've got the more pungent and more oily characters coming out of this one, such as, I'm getting just a little bit of grapefruit, but I think it's more of a passion fruity character that's coming out of this one, to be honest. But behind that you can smell all of the nice, the juicier tropical fruits that you get. There's a little bit, I think, there's a little bit of mango in there, I want to say. Maybe some lychees or something like that too. There's a little bit of a kind of limey character that you always get from the Citra hop too. Lychees, mangoes, but definitely it's interesting that you get a good blend of the nice juicy tropical fruits, but you also get the more pungent ones like the passion fruit and the grapefruit, the more oily flavours I always feel. But you can really pick that out in this. There's a nice almost grassy character coming out of this beer too. When you sugar it up, it's much the same actually. You start to get a bit more of the bready and malty side of things when you sugar it up, but you still get that overlying fruity character in this beer. Yeah, you can get a little bit of the wheaty spice, some of the kind of big doughy yeasty malts. There's maybe just a little bit of a slightly banana-ish character as well. When it's a Saison beer, if I remember, I think it was Belgium rather than the Netherlands that originated in, or probably just that region. I forget if there was a specific place that these beers were made, but you will always get some of that almost Belgian-y yeasty character from this style of beer. But it smells very nice. A bit of wheaty spice, some bready character, and some of the heavier kind of Belgian style yeast thing going on in this. On top of that though, there is a bit of lemon kind of sherbety character coming out the nose here. But as I say, there's some of the oily tropical fruits in there. I think it's more of a passion fruit than a grapefruit. It doesn't smell quite as dark or as kind of sour as grapefruit does. It doesn't have that quite distinct grapefruit character for me. It's more of a passion fruit. But there's definitely a bit of mango in there, maybe some lychees, and maybe even a little tiny bit of lime or something like that. I want to say there's papaya too. There's that kind of distinctive papaya note I'm getting out of this. The Citra hop, of course, gives you a beautiful nose. That's the main thing to take away from this. But yeah, as I always say, give the beer a little bit of a smell before you get stuck into it. It's always interesting and can give you a good idea of the flavours to expect. But let's get stuck into this one. This is the Citra Saison, a collaboration beer between Brouwerij De Molen from Bodegraven in the Netherlands and St Eriks Bryggeri from Arlandastad in Stockholm. So as they would say in the Netherlands, Prost, and as they would say in Sweden, Skål. As I would say in Scotland, Slange. It's quite interesting. I was expecting it to be just a little bit more hoppy, but maybe my palate just needs to adjust a bit more. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, definitely with this beer, first time you try it, it will taste very mild, but sugar it around your palate and you'll start to get a bit more of the kind of complexity in this one. Again, this is the thing I usually say about Jessica's beers. She produces beers, but they're not like really in your face with the flavour. They're very well balanced, and you get a great thing. You get a good balance between the malt base and also the hoppiness, and that's really what's shining through on this one. And it was the same with the De Molen ones I tried before as well. They were always very well balanced, but this is really nice. There's a good bit of the hoppy, juicy character, and a little bit of the bitterness just starts to creep its way out in the aftertaste. But as you would expect with a Saison beer, the focus is a little bit more on the malt base for me. But that said, as you start to move into the flavour a bit more, the hops do start to kind of pop up around the side of the tongue. You'll feel the hoppy bitterness as you put the beer across your palate. The carbonation comes in with a good little bit of an attack, and that makes this beer quite refreshing, albeit it is one of the more kind of malt forward beer styles that you're going to come across. It's nicely balanced, so as I say, sugar it around your palate and just let your whole mouth adjust to this one before you think too much about the flavour. Yeah, that's quite nicely done actually. So with this beer, the middle of your palate is just blanketed, as you would expect, with those wheaty malt characters. It's got a bit of a kind of doughy, yeasty character to it, but it does lean for me more towards the bready side of things. The wheat is nice in this. They've got a good level of slightly spicy character to the wheat here. For me, it works really well. I like it when you've got that little bit of spiciness, and that actually blends together with the bitterness of the hops in this beer. That's what I think is giving this beer such a good balance in the flavour. Yeah, and I always think, some breweries can overdo it with the hops and some of them can overdo it with the malts. But I think here, and that's, as I said, it seems to be a characteristic of St Eriks, they just get that balance right. And it works out really well because you can enjoy both sides of the flavour without one punching back the other, and this beer really does that for me. The thing that's surprising me a little bit about this one, the beer feels, pardon me, the beer feels as if it has a little bit of a kind of floral, aromatic flavour to it. When you get around the front edges of your tongue, you can feel some of the grassy and more floral aspects of the flavour around that front curve of the tongue, but it kind of dissipates quite quickly, and I think that's due to the slight spiciness of the wheaty character you're getting from this beer. So that's quite interesting. But that said, in the aftertaste there is a lingering, almost floral aromatic character in this, and I've never tried, as far as I remember, I don't think I've had a single Citra hop beer on the channel before. There might have been one from Windswept Brewery in Scotland, but it was an IPA, so it's quite different in that regard, but I don't remember it being so as grassy or as floral as this one. So I think the wheat character in this beer really is playing a role in maybe promoting a little bit of that more slightly floral character, but normally you don't get that from the Citra hop. The Citra hop really is more about the fruits. But that said, it works quite well. Just behind the front of the tongue, you'll start to get that juicy, fruity character there. And it's quite interesting because it's quite mild at the same time. It's a light, kind of juicy thing that's going on there. So yeah, behind the front of the tongue, I want to say, when it first comes in, you're getting the more oily, kind of more tropical fruit notes. There is a little bit of grapefruit in there, probably some passion fruit mixed in with that. You can feel those two flavours just kind of blending together again. Neither of them try and push their way to the fore, but behind that, just as that dissipates a little bit, you start to get the other flavours that you can expect from the Citra. I want to say there's maybe just a little bit of kind of papaya or things in there. There's a definite citrus presence to this as well. You can really pick that up, but as that sharpness of the citrus with the grapefruit and the passion fruit starts to fade a little bit, you get some of the other things you expect from the Citra. Maybe a little bit of papaya, maybe even not quite peaches, maybe a little bit of apricot or something like that. You can pick that up just behind the very front curve of your tongue there. There's quite an interesting thing, but the complexity of the hop starts to come out a bit more in the aftertaste rather than the actual foretaste, if you like. But yeah, I mean, overall, it is quite a nice beer. This one is definitely more of a session one, and it's quite interesting because it's very different. The last beer I reviewed from St Eriks Bryggeri was the Belgian stout that she did. The last one I did from De Molen was actually a ghost beer, so it's kind of similar to the Saison, the same idea with the malt base and stuff, but obviously the salt added to it. So I can see actually where the De Molen influence from this is coming. The slightly spicy wheaty character is something I remember being from the Ghost that I had from De Molen before, which was the one, it was called Beautiful and Strange Ghost. I think it was Brewfist they did that with, and that was a nice beer. But you can definitely, I can remember that little trait of that one, and you can pick it up again in this beer. So it's interesting when you review beers from breweries a couple of times, and then you start to pick up the traits of their brewing. And that's one of the things Jessica seems to be able to get the hops just to blend nicely with the flavours as well. So it's really cool to see both of these breweries coming together. But overall, I would say this beer has a good balance between the kind of spicier aspects in the malt base and the hops. The hop complexity starts to come out more in the aftertaste. There is a bit of floral aromaticity, but the bready malt base in this is nice, really, for me, because of the spiciness of the wheat in this. This is a nice blend of flavours, this one. It's not too punchy in any aspect. It's more about the blend of the flavours, and that's something I think both breweries tend to focus on quite well in my experience. I really need to get more experience of the De Molen stuff though, but again, it's another very, very solid beer from De Molen and of course from St Eriks Bryggeri. So yeah, I'd recommend this in terms of the flavour to people who like a nice blend of flavours, something that's not too punchy. This is a good kind of summer session beer. I'm a bit surprised that they're releasing it in the spring. I don't know when they normally release Saisons, but for me, this would be a very good summer beer, I think. So do check it out if you get the chance. In terms of the mouthfeel, I'd say this one is light to mid-bodied. The spicy character in this makes it feel a bit heavier than it is. The carbonation is about moderate. There's a fairly little bit of attack when you first take it in, and that helps bring out the spicy character of the wheat, and also a bit of the hoppy attack as well. That's what makes it feel a bit more floral and aromatic, which, as I said, is an unusual character for the Citra hop in my experience. But there's some nice fruity juiciness to this one, and it is quite a light, refreshing summer beer, this one. So yeah, if you enjoy a good blend of flavours and you enjoy the Saison style, then by all means, give this one a go. I'm not sure, I'm always tempted, like I said, my favourite beer that I've tried so far from St Eriks was the Oktoberfest Helles, so I really need to get another one of those beers, but this one is very nice, and it does have some of the same character that I enjoyed from that, and of course the Ghost that I had from De Molen as well, Beautiful and Strange Ghost, it also has some of that too. So if you liked either of those beers, I'm sure you will enjoy this one, so do be sure to check it out. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this beer review. As always, if you have tried the beer yourself, let me know in the comment section below your own thoughts on it. Always interesting to hear from you guys that are watching the videos. As I said, if you're watching from Sweden or from the Netherlands, please do get in touch and let me know what beers and breweries you'd like me to have a look at from your countries. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Go and check out my social media. But until the next time, Prost, Skål and Slange, as we would say in Scotland. I'll catch you soon with the next beer review. Go and check out Brouwerij De Molen, and I'll be doing more of their reviews soon, and also St Eriks Bryggeri from Arlanda in Sweden. Cheers.